So, everybody, let me share my screen real quick so that people can see. So this is Tessie Omulo. She is, among other things, the head of PR and communication at Centonomy Limited. She's also an entrepreneur and emerging leader. She's also the founder and director of Female Founders Kenya. I guess you'll tell us a bit more about that. And for the Isaacers in the house, she's a former Isaac in this star. Somebody need to do it. Sorry. Yeah. So it's a pleasure to have you on board, talking about a very powerful topic, one of my favorites personally. So yeah, karibu sana.
Wow, thank you, thank you. I'm just trying to make sure you can hear me and you can hear me clearly. And you can see me clearly. The Wi-Fi here tends to be a bit shaky, but I'm hoping we can pull through. Let me try and share my slides. I'm assuming I'm able to do that, yeah. Jerome. Do I have the power? Host disabled participants. Jerome, give me the power to share my slide. There you go. Thank you. Just one moment. As I do that, as I pull up my slides, in one word, on the chat, everyone, just tell me how your day was. As you can see, mine has been quite the day. I have had a full day, but I am thankful nonetheless. So in the chat, one word, just to see what kind of audience I have, if you're engaging, if you're alert, if you're awake, how has your day been? Let me see those responses. I can see productive. Wow, Raymond. Good job. Interesting, fantastic. Wow, nice. Thank you, Gloria. Brian, yes, what is your request? Before you ask, how has your day been? Brian Karaoke, lots of fun. That's nice. Davis, a bit sad. I'm so sorry, Davis. I hope tomorrow you'll have a better day or someone will brighten your day today. Jerome, you're the one who matched outfits in a mic. Nice. My day has been fantamagorgeous. That had to be an okumu. Fantamagorgeous. Thank you, Ben. Thank you. I can see a couple of you guys have responded. Thank you so much for sharing how your day has been. Mine has been quite the day. It was hectic, but I have enjoyed nonetheless. Like I said, I am grateful. When I was called upon to do this session, I was excited, I must say, and excited because personal branding is a topic that is close to my heart, and it's personal. And when I say personal, is I have seen it work for me, and I have learned from my experiences and even people around me, from their experiences, how personal branding has been key in their journey for growth. So that's why this topic is very personal to me. As we begin, Jerome, I believe I can go ahead to start my session.
Go ahead, yeah, that's fine. That's all right.
So I will make a disclaimer. Anyone who puts on their mic, I'm kicking you out. So you just heard that I have rights. I got the power to chase people away from the room if their phone rings or if they, cause disturbance. So please keep your microphone on mute so that we can engage and participate without distraction. Having said that, I will start with a brain teaser. I want to know, and you can put it on the chat real quick. Arnold Schwarzenegger has a long one. Michael J. Fox has a short one. Madonna does not use hers. Bill Clinton always uses his. The Pope never uses it. What is it? If you know the answer to that question, please just run to the chat and type your response. Kindly let's keep our audios off and our videos off as well, other than Jerome, of course, who's helping me here. At least I don't feel like I'm a radio host. I can see him, so that helps. Great. So let's see the responses on the chat. Bring them on the chat. And those who are going to Google, I actually gave you too much time for you to run to Google and find out what the responses are. Let me see. So I can see there's good. I'm really hoping that you guys are smart and you didn't Google it. A long bicep, no. Jerome didn't Google, clearly he tried. Jerome, for Max for trying, I give you an A without Googling. Corazon, last name, surname, their names, name. Okay, I can see now there's a similar response coming through. That's true. What these people all do not use, or in that brain teaser question, is their surname. So the people who said their surname, actually one person got it accurately, is, let me just get it. The surname is Akinyi. Akinyi Oloch got it perfectly right. It's their surname. Claudine, no, it's not Abs. Absolutely not Abs. Let's move on to the next one. I want to see how old you guys are, if you know the CBD. What street is this in the Nairobi CBD? This is a photo from, I think, the 40s, 1940s. You definitely were not there, I wasn't. But let's see who can tell what street this was in the 40s. Just put it on the chat. Moi Avenue, Jerome, good guess. Not quite. Any other responses? Kimathi Street close, because there's a bit of Kimathi Street there. Kenyatta Avenue, Peter Karunga actually got it. And Patience, good. Tomboya, no. Akinyi, no. Patience and Peter got it. That's actually Kenyatta Avenue. If you can tell, this Kenyatta Avenue usually has a couple of lanes or streets. So that's what you can tell apart when you're looking at streets in Nairobi. So that was a good one. I can tell there are a bit of people who know their CBD here. So that's great. I will go to my last one, and this is pretty easy. Actually, the person who gets this, no, I'll think about what gift to give them, but let's see who gets this one. So we got Kenyatta Avenue correct. The last one is, what is the only bird that can hover in the air and also fly backwards? Please do not Google. Kindly do not Google. Just take a wild guess or an educated guess. Which is the only bird that can hover in the air and also fly backwards? Awesome, you guys are smart. And I actually put the image right there. Yani, najua tumezoea 844. I sneaked in a Kenya for you guys, and I put the hummingbird on the photo. Some of you caught it, some of you didn't, but it is a hummingbird. And that's it for my brain teasers. Now, as we jump onto the session, I'd want to know from all of you, or for whoever is available to respond on the chat or to unmute, you can raise your hand and we'll unmute you. What does branding mean to you? Leave personal branding, leave personal brand. What does branding mean to you? When you hear brand, what comes to you? You can share on the chat. You can raise your hand and we can have a conversation real quick about what branding means to you. Thank you, Nerea. I know it's not an hour. But thank you everyone who participated. Raymond, marking livestock. I like that. He related it to the mark he says on livestock. So yes, thank you. What does branding mean to you? Come on, guys. I need to see some more responses on the chat. Branding is the simplest way. Let me just get that. Simplest way I can relate to something. Good. I love that, Ben. So this makes it memorable. So something memorable that you can relate or remember, right? And Nerea says, what were Hamimberg while they Google? Nerea, are you sure? I had the image right there. Creating what you would like, what you'd like to be known for. Bridget, I love that. Thank you. Peace, giving something a particular perspective or view, putting a label, distinguishing yourself, building a name, labeling, branding, memorable. Those are the words that I can see getting repeated. Memorable, identity, branding, repeat, name, image. Those are the things that I can see repeated. Thank you for your responses, guys. Branding is basically a mark. If I was to define branding, I would say a brand is a mark. And more importantly, the mark you leave on people. So I tell a lot of my friends, actually, when we have conversations, and it's because I've been in leadership positions before and now as well, that people remember you not just for what you did, but who you developed or who you made. And by who you made, we mean the leaders that you developed along the way. So the mark that you left in those people that made them stand out and become the best versions of themselves. So it's the mark that you leave on people. It could not just be, it might not just be in leadership, but in each and everything that you do. But remember that it's a mark. If you don't get anything out of this session today, remember branding is a mark. And it's not just about the first impression. It's also about the last impression. I know we all care about what impression are you giving when you meet someone, but if you think about it, what lasting impression do you leave on this person so that your memory, whatever it is about you, lingers on in their mind for long, even after you go, is very important. So it's not just about first impressions, it's just as much about a last impression and how you leave the lasting effect on someone. I love this statement that says, be phenomenal or be forgotten. Literally, if I do not know you, you do not exist. If I do not see you, you do not exist. So the people who actually say, I don't like being on social media, I don't like putting what I do on there, I don't like speaking up, I'm actually an introvert. I actually do not agree with them. Introverts are also seen and heard, and they are also have the ability to leave a mark. So be phenomenal or be forgotten. Whatever this means is you can't just do things on the bare minimum. You can't be mediocre. You can't be the one who just shows up, nusu. You know, you do things to a certain extent. You're never excellent and you'd want to be remembered. That is impossible. What this statement says is for you to be remembered, you have to be phenomenal. You have to be playing at your A game 24/7. So you can't quite drop the ball on the things that you do. And that gets me to ask the question, what mark are you leaving on people? Even as you're in school currently, as you engage in different activities, in ISEC, in the architecture, industry and whatever club that you're in, what impact are you leaving on people? What mark are you leaving on people? How will people remember you? For example, I would ask Jerome, I know this is throwing you in the deep end, but just one thing, if you were to be asked, what's the one thing you think people will remember you for, Jerome, what would it be? I'm curious.
Well, the one thing I think people remember me for I hope you can hear me. One thing I think
Yes.
people remember me for is being extra, but in a good way, I guess. So being extra in everything. In my work. Cindy's acknowledging. Yeah, in my work, in leadership, I'm just extra. Yeah. I do extra, I am extra. So yeah.
Awesome, love it. I would relate, Jerome, because me is extra, extra is me. Being extra just means you like to do things to a certain standard. And I like someone who mentioned there in the chat that it's setting a standard. It's a dika, yeah? Setting a standard. What are people, what lasting effect do you leave on people? Yeah? What will people remember you for? And it's an intentional act. You can't just move through life and hope someone will remember Tessie because she used to have long fairy hair or, curly hair. No. What will you be remembered for? And it has to be something that leaves a lasting mark on someone else's life. And I love what Jerome has shared. Now, I'm going to share these two images, and I know most of us would relate or would remember this. The image on the right is the Omo brand, and you've had people go to the supermarket or to the shops and say nipatie ile Omo ya Sunlight, ama nipatie ile Omo ya Ariel. It has become a brand, and it left a mark in people's minds. Sorry, and they can't detach themselves from it. Even if a new brand is introduced, they still relate that product to other brands that come along. So it's left a mark so much so that it becomes the it of that industry. So Pampas ya Huggies, nipatie ile Pampas ya Huggies. Those are the brands that have left a lasting impression on their clients so much that they carry it on even on other products. Yeah, to date, I think that people who still can't say Junction, they say Nakumat Junction, and Nakumat does not exist anymore. The one on the left is what one of us had actually mentioned when we were starting the session. Back in the day, or even now, I think there are communities that still do it. How they mark their animals. So they take an iron that is ingrained with whatever words that they want to put on the animal or the livestock, and they put it in hot in fire, and they stamp it on the animal in a way that it cannot be removed. This way, if the livestock is hovering around the village or the community, everyone knows that's Tessie's cow, that is Jerome's cow. It's easily identified. So it's seen, somewhere where you can see. It's not hidden, it's never put on the hoof. If you've seen most of the animals that have been labeled, it's always on the body, somewhere you can see very clearly. It's out there, it's outstanding, you can recognize it. So those are two things about the brand that you need to take note of. One, you need to be heard and seen. You can't be shouting from under the table saying, I want to participate, I want to be part of this conference, and you're not being heard, being seen. You have to be in a space where we can see and hear you, right? Then for the one on the right, Omo, create an experience, an amazing experience, such that people cannot forget you, or they cannot detach from what you give them. So they want to be hooked, and they stay hooked, and they relate each and every other thing around you. I have a couple of images on screen. I want someone to unmute and tell me who they know and what they know them for. Anyone? Yes, Jerome, Colgate your Aquafresh. These things have actually stuck with us long. Anybody, who can you recognize and what do you know them for? No, I started out saying I'm going to have an exciting class, so I'm not going to talk to myself here. If I'm going to be talking to myself, I'll just easily exit this room. I can see a couple of people are coming through on the chat. The TikTok guy, Kabi, that's his name. Yeah. Jerome, we can't unmute. Okay. Let's see if we can sort that out. Jerome Akinyi says they cannot unmute. That might be a feature. Okay, Akinyi, you can try now.
Let me get on that.
Oh, okay. So on this list, I think I know. Okay, so I know Eliud Kipchoge because of his under 2 hours marathon. So the limitless, basically his limitless theme after his marathon. I remember Bob Collymore because I don't know, I tend to associate Safaricom with Bob Collymore a lot for no apparent reason. I remember size 8. I still remember size 8 for Mateke. I remember JK because of JK Live. Kabi because he's basically he's running TikTok speechless. The others I know their names, but I can't remember their names. Me idea.
Great, thank you. That was great. Thank you for that. Akinyi, anyone else would want to share who they know and how, what they remember about them? I can see a couple coming in the chat box. Anyone who wants to unmute and share as well? Who do you know? What do you know them for?
Okay.
Yeah, you
For
can
myself, I'll just add a few because there's some things Akinya said. The first time I remember Jeff Koinange was this bench he used to always sit on, and he just used to interview people and talk on that bench. And that bench went with him. I remember he started at K24, then he went to KTN, and he went to NTV, and even now at Citizen, he sort of has that similar bench setup. So it was like on the bench with Jeff Koinange. For Mutahi Kagwe, I know him for his, well, okay, everybody can get it, but basically coronavirus and Kenyan directives like curfew and the rest. Mutahi Kagwe always comes to mind. Yeah, those are the two I can talk about. The rest, I mean, yeah, Sonko, yeah, I mean, I know for different things, but then really stand out as, well, he's just a bling guy. And maybe the guy who was told to remove earphones in parliament. That's one thing I remember.
Great, thank you, Jerome. I like that. So basically, it's clear that you can identify everyone on this slide. Kabi has become a TikTok sensation, and like someone says, speechless. Imagine, and he's big. Jeff was actually the first presenter who had a show with his name on it, JK Live. Now we have a lot more coming through with, reality shows and all, but JK Live was one of the shows that had his name on it. And like Jerome has rightfully put it, across different media houses, Jeff remains to be a really great media personality. Eliud Kipchoge ran the marathon, and the hashtag "No Human is Limited" cannot be forgotten, right? Bob Collymore, like Akinyi has said, she tends to relate Bob Collymore with Safaricom for no apparent reason. I'd like to say, yes, he is Safaricom. Long after he's died, and may his soul rest in peace, a lot of us still remember him for what he did at Safaricom and the kind of sensation he left there. Size 8, someone says Shamba Boy, Mateke, Sonko. A lot of what we remember him for are negative, but we know who he is. So at this point, I'd rightfully say that make sure people know who you are. Like I said, be phenomenal or be forgotten. I know some things that people may say may be negative or outside what you'd want them to say, but that way, once you are on people's minds and people know who you are, you can manage the kind of conversations that are ongoing out there. But if you're quiet and we don't know who you are, you do not exist. Like I said, if I don't know you, you do not exist. What I'm saying is, get your brand on people's eyes, on people's screens. Let people know who you are, what you do, and what makes you, great. What spaces do you occupy that make you unique and make you great at what you do? Jeff Bezos is one of the richest men in the planet, and when he speaks, we listen, right? And Jeff Bezos defines a personal brand as what people say about you when you leave the room. So basically, how do people define you when you're not listening, when you're not there, when you can't hear what they're saying? Do they say Tessie is smart? She's always very well dressed. Tessie communicates effectively. Tessie is a good leader. Tessie is, says what she promises, or says what she does what she says. Tessie is a good connector. Tessie is, what do they say about you when you're not in the room? Or do people actually say you do not keep your promises, you're always late, you do not, you're micromanaging people, you don't give people space to grow, you are shoddy at how you do your work, you're not excellent, you're not an integral person. What do people say about you when you're not in the room? And these messages you keep crafting in your day-to-day experiences. When you meet people, when you're having conversations with your friends, at the office as you do your job, at school, when you start actually in campus, when you start building your network through such conferences, people tend to start relating you with something that you put out there. And in this day and age where we have social media, that's an amazing, amazing platform for you to begin, putting up or charting your brand or your path that you'd want your brand to take. So what do you want to be known for? What are you sharing on your, social media platforms? Why should people care about it? Why do you care about it? So I'd say, while we did not have the internet or, the amazing platforms that we have today, these things now are a very interesting additional aspect to helping you build and grow your brand more intentionally. So think about what people say when you leave the room. And 4 ways to cultivate your brand is, think about these things. So one is the mirror image. So what is the mirror image really? The mirror image is what you take this as when you look into the mirror, what do you see? What do you think people actually think about you? So when you look at the mirror, I know a lot of guys don't subscribe to mirrors, but it's good. Men, please, let's invest in buying mirrors. It's healthy for you. What do you think people think about you when you look in the mirror? Is it what you actually think about yourself? That's the mirror image. When you look into the mirror, what do you think people think about you? So it's more about what you think, right? So do you think people think you're kind, that you're excellent at your job, you're professional, that you're smart, that you're a good friend? What do you think people think about you? That's the mirror image. The 2 is the actual image, what they actually think about you. And the actual image, you get to understand this by asking questions. So I go to Jerome and I ask him, Jerome, what do you actually think about me? Or I go to my sister and I ask her, or my mother, my boss at work, my lecturer at school, my peers in my club, and genuinely ask them, what do you think about me? And it's very good for you to get a wide range of responses from different people about what they think about you. It could be even the guy at the gate, the guy who opens the door for you at school, or the person who serves you tea at your favorite cafe. What do they actually think about you? This is a very difficult exercise to do, because sometimes people may reveal some secrets, or not secrets really, but some sentiments that you may not really agree to, or you may not be comfortable with. So they might say, Tessie is actually mean. That may not be something you'd easily take in, or you're ready to take in, but it's important for you to sample these messages and get to hear exactly what do people actually think about you against the mirror image of what you think people think about you. Number three is the wish image. What would you like them to say about you? So while there's the mirror image where you it's what you think people think about you, the actual image, you go out there and find out exactly what do they think about me, and you hear all these responses. The third one is the wish image. What would I like them to say about me? Would I like them to say Tessie is a hardworking person, or Tessie is a lazy person? What kind of things would you want them to say about you? That's the wish image. And the fourth one is the corporate image, the packaging aspect. Once you've done all these things, you've gone down to ask, what do you guys think about me? You've probably sat down to think, this is what I wish people to think about me. You begin now owning that narrative. And by owning the narrative, I mean, you begin packaging yourself in a way that responds to this brand that you have. So packaging means how you speak, how you dress, and how you show up. So basically, now I sit down and I've defined, this is my target audience. My target audience is basically people who would want communication services, or people who would want training services, or people who want a coach, an entrepreneurship coach. And I begin packaging myself in a way that fits to this particular target audience, that is my target audience. And I start, showing up as that person that I want to interact or engage with this particular audience. I start speaking up or speaking in a way that would attract this particular audience. I dress up in a way that if they see me, they want to connect with me. So these are four ways to cultivate your brand. Think about the mirror image. Think about the actual image. And this is important. This is an important exercise for you to do. Go out, ask your friends, what do you actually think about me? And 3, what is a wish image? What would you like them to see? Write those things down. And finally, your corporate image. Begin packaging yourself in a way that appeals to your target audience, and begin, charting that path as early as now. Great. I'd want to take a few minutes, I think maybe 5 minutes, for you to write down those things that I've talked about. What do people say about you when you leave the room? What are some of these things that you've had? And I think some of your friends would let you in on that secret. Some of your friends would tell you, like now Jerome has shared that he's extra, he's excellent at what he does. And someone on the chat actually cheered him on and said, yes. What do people say when you leave the room? Try and write down 2 or 3 things that you think people say about you when you leave the room. And what would you like them to say about you when you leave the room? I'd want you to take 5 minutes max, and I will time it right now. This is 7:44, so 5 minutes is 7:49. Take time, just write down those things. 3 things that you think people say about you when you leave the room. Possibly you've heard about them. This might not be accurate. This is just what you think. So basically it's the mirror image. And what would you like them to say about you when you leave the room? So basically, this is the wish image. Before we talk about how you begin packaging yourself to respond to your audience or to your, to your target audience, write down those 2 things. Then we'll get back at 7:49. So I'll be right here. Take time to write those things down on a paper. If you have one on your phone, you can just open up your notepad and write those things down. What do people say about you when you leave the room? What would you like them to say when you leave the room? And if they're the same, I'd like to hear as well. So if someone wants to share, I'd like to hear that as well. 5 minutes, just take that down, then we'll proceed. Just 2 more minutes. 1 minute. There, time is up. I hope we've managed to do that, even if it's one thing only. I'd encourage you to continue with this exercise even after this session. Just go out and think about what people say about you when you leave the room, and what you'd like them to say about you when you leave the room. Why this exercise is important is it begins to create a sense of urgency in you to start building your brand, or start creating the narrative that you'd want people to follow or to use based on who you are and what you want to be known for. So take time to do this exercise even after this session. Now, a brand is three things. Firstly, your personal brand is the mental picture your target market gets when you think about when they think about you, right? So, for example, if it's like what I've just talked about, you meet someone and it leaves an impact, or you leave them thinking, this person was actually a very interesting person, like the guy down there. That guy was quite something, based on maybe something you shared that you're passionate about, and you spoke so passionately about it. Probably it's how you looked, you presented yourself in a really nice and professional way, or you just looked good. Or it could be you did a presentation and they thought, wow, that was a presentation, very well done. So your brand is that mental picture that your target market is left with. So when you leave, they're just constantly thinking, wow, this thing stayed with me. That person stayed with me based on some of the things that they did or how they looked. So your sole goal here is to be memorable, to remain very memorable in a way that when you leave the room, when you are long gone, it is easy for me to remember you, or easy for anyone to remember you, and to say, I actually know Tessie because she did 1, 2, 3 things. And to date, I actually haven't forgotten because it was done exceptionally well, or she was exceptional at what she did, or she basically just left a mark in how she did whatever action she did. So leaving a mental picture that is lasting and leave someone thinking, or constantly staying top of mind in this season where we're competing with a lot of things. That is very, very important. The second thing is the personal brand is a promise, which tells people, and in this case it's prospects, what you expect when they deal with you, and it's like an implied covenant. So it's like telling people, this is what to expect from me. So if I show up and I'm always looking fabulous, like the girl on the right, and I'm always dolled up and I look amazing, my makeup is on fleek, I have the right shoes, I always look fabulous, then I meet you on a different day and you're looking like the lady on the left, I feel like you should be cheated. I feel like there's something that's not right. I feel like this is not the same person. Or like a promise, I feel this is not true. Like you've lied to me, you've not kept your promise. This is the expectation versus the delivery, and they do not match. So have you been in instances where the expectation does not match the delivery, or the promise does not match the delivery, and you become so disappointed? So your brand is a promise. It's you telling people, this is who I am, and this is what you expect when you deal with me, and I will show up just as that. So one, we said your personal brand is what? Your personal brand is a mental picture. And two, your personal brand is a promise. The third one, and the last, is your brand is a relationship that wields influence over prospects and clients. Influence. And at this point, I think I'll ask people in the chat. I know for guys it would be longer, but how long have you been with your barber? How long have you been with your hairstylist? For ladies, I know it's a lot. there are a lot more people than your hairstylist. You have someone for your nails, you have someone for your eyebrows, you have someone for your makeup, probably when you go for this big events, or you do it yourself, I don't know. But you have someone for your, and even for your hair, you probably have a weave person, you have a braids person, you have a temporary locks person, you have your haircut person if you have a cut. How long? Let me see on the chat. Let me know. For guys, how long have you been with your barber? And for ladies, how long have you been with the person who does your hair, who does your braids, or basically does your hair? How long? Ben says, I've been with the same barber since 2013. Cindy, Bath. Okay, Cindy, I need you. If you can, please turn on your mic. I want us to have a conversation. What?
Yes, Tessie.
How old are you?
I'm 22.
Wow, that's a long time. Let me assume you have not moved. You live at the same place.
Yes. And we've been moving with her as well.
Oh, you've been relative. Amazing. So it's not even about the location, really. It's the person. So you've been moving with them. Tell me why. What are the reasons? What makes you move with this person? What has made you stuck with this person for 23 years?
Well, she's dependable. That's quality is assured. Doesn't matter what I actually ask for. And I'm sure the people who know me also know that I practically do quite some crazy hairstyles, and she's always willing to try them. She's not like most salonists who, when I walk in, they'll be like, no, we're not doing that. Her, she'll try it, whether she'll achieve it or not, doesn't really matter as long as she tried it. So yeah.
Nice. And let me ask you, Cindy, if your what's her name?
Dolly.
Sorry?
Short form. The short form is Dolly.
Dolly. If she moved, if she decided, Aki, today, I'm moving to a country, or maybe I've gotten an opportunity in Mombasa, I'm moving to Mombasa, what would happen to you? How would you feel?
She actually did. So currently, I'd rather just remove my hair and leave it like that than walk into a different salon.
Oh my goodness. Guys, Cindy is sold, 100% sold. Dolly amewingisha kwa box, akafunga box, akaenda nayo Mombasa. She cannot even change her hair. Literally, Cindy is in Dolly's box. She swears by her. She cannot trust anybody else to do her hair as good as her hairdresser does it. And this is what I'm talking about. You do something so well that people can actually swear by you. They decide, if Tessie's on leave, I will wait for her to get back. If this stuff is not being done by Juliet, I am not boarding. Please do not involve me. If I am not engaging with this person for this activity, please just know you can cancel the activity altogether. So you're sold by this person because of a particular reason. It's how they do, it's a service, how they make you feel. For Cindy, she's mentioned, this is someone who's willing to try out things with her. So it's an experience. She goes on with new things and they go on to this journey together. I can see a lot more people say, there's someone who said they inherited their grandfather's barber. My goodness. Guys, do you know, actually, even there are relationships that don't last as long as the relationships we have with our barbers or our hairdressers. 4 years for my barber. Since then, only cheated once and I regret it. I know. So there's that feeling. So I used to have a haircut myself, and I know that feeling of you go somewhere else and you literally feel like you need to go to confess and say, you know what, this happened. I went, I cheated, and now I'm back. It's a very sad thing that we do, or that we feel. And it's basically based on loyalty, like someone has put it, Augustine. If loyalty was a person, it is your hairdresser, it is your barber. We have stuck with them for the longest, and it's because of the influence they have had over us. So it's a relationship that you have. A lot of people say, I go to my hairdresser, I leave there feeling different. I feel rejuvenated, I feel like I look good, and that gives me the confidence and the energy. And probably we have a conversation that just lightens me up. And so it's an experience, and that builds the influence over time and makes you loyal to these people. So such that if they moved across town, for instance, leave for Cindy, she said she went out of town. If they went to probably Kitengela, and you guys know how Mombasa Road looks right now, you would be able to sit in that traffic. You'd say, I'd rather leave in the morning so that I can get to Dolly at noon, so that she makes my hair and I look good. I am not going to this new salon that has just opened up in my building. No, thank you. It's close to me. It's probably cheaper, but I will not do that because I swear by my barber or my hairdresser's service. So that's exactly what I'm talking about. In everything you do you leave an effect in people that makes you very impossible to replace? So they always want to deal with you. They want to work with you. If you're not there, they'd rather not do it, you know? Create an impression like that on people that makes you, I wouldn't want to say you manipulate them. Manipulation is not the right word here. It's influence. We'll use the word influence. So create a relationship where it wields influence over time and they become sold, you know, they in-gear your box and they can't come out. They're like, Tessie, 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 nothing else. I can only work with Tessie. Yeah. Before we move on, I'll allow anyone to ask any questions that have come till now. Feel free to ask any questions that you have before I move to the last bit of our session, just the last bit. I will brush through this bit. I promise I will not keep you here. I know I'm sitting between you and your dinner. For some people, between you and PS. For some people, you and the new movie or the series on Netflix. So I'll try and really wrap it up real quick so that we're not here for too long. So any questions that you have, please throw them to the chat. Then we'll proceed. The three things we've talked about, a brand is three things. One, it's the mental picture that you leave people with even after you leave the room. The second one is it's a promise and you need to deliver by your promise. And the third one is it's a relationship that builds influence over time. So do you have influence over people? There's someone who actually talked about, the time I had a conversation with a friend and they talked about how you could have a CEO, influence is actually better than a title. And you could have a CEO who might not have influence over their team as much as someone in the team, you know, part of their team. Someone in the team could have a lot of influence, but they don't have the title CEO. So titles are not as important. Influence is what matters. And influence comes based on the relationship that you build. And relationship is based off the things that you do, the mark that you leave. So you can only create a relationship based on a lasting effect that you leave on people. So if you do something really well and people get to enjoy it and they get to, you know, buy it and they want, you know, repeat business based on what service you gave them, then that makes you influential in that way. So if you forget, don't forget these three things. Your brand, one is the mental picture you leave on people. Two, it's a promise. And three, it's a relationship that builds influence over time. I want to share a couple of rules, actually not three, about 6 rules that you should be aware of even as you build your brand. Let me see if there are any questions. How has my personal branding journey been like? Amazing. So I think I'll take just a moment to share that. I would have shared it at the end, but I can share that. My journey has been an interesting one. And that's why I said personal branding is very personal to me, because I've seen it work for me. Like Jerome put it, I was an ISECA in campus. I went to Daystar University, my alma mater. And in Daystar, I was in ISEC for about 3 years. And in those 3 years, I was in leadership. I was in the talent management portfolio for those in ISEC, that is ISEC Speak for HR. So I used to manage people experiences. So I put them into teams. I manage how they grow in those teams, the kind of experiences they're getting. And finally, what is the end product? Like when they leave, who are they? What have they learned? Are they better beings after their ISEC experience? So basically, that was my first ever encounter in ISEC. I was the vice president for talent management. And like I said, that is ISEC Speak for HR. or talent management, basically. After my 2 years as a vice president, I applied for president. But before that, I did a couple more roles. I traveled to Turkey for my exchange experience for about 2 to 3 months. And that was an amazing, amazing season of my life. So that is when I began realizing that I need to chart a path that is more intentional than just whizzing through life. So in Turkey, I had 38 more interns from 38 countries. So they only picked 2 interns from Kenya and 1 intern across the 38 countries. And what this meant is I was engaging with a network across the globe. So I was intentionally clear about making these people my family, or making these people a part of my journey. So I left an impact. And I remember one of my objectives during that period was, because I interacted with people who even didn't know where Kenya was, guys, in this day and age, in this century, they did not have an idea. I remember there's a lady who came to me and asked me, how did you get an air ticket to come for this project? And she was very genuine, absolutely genuine. She could not understand. So I might have been the only Black person in that project, but we had Africans on the project, but Africans in the northern part of Africa. So that was Egypt, Morocco, Tunisia, Algeria. We had an Egyptian, but all of them were, they're not black skinned or black toned skin. So a lot of people looked at me very differently, or they didn't quite understand how I managed to go to that conference. And so I came up with an objective to leave a lasting impression about what Kenya was, or Africa was, on these people. And I showcased the beauty that is our country, but left them thinking, wow. I can tell you for sure about 10 of the interns I interacted with during our project have actually visited Kenya. Others I have hosted them. I think about 4 I have hosted them at home. But basically what I did was change their mindset about what our country was about and the beauty that is Kenya or Africa. So in that way, I became that person that changed their mind about what they know and gave them a new meaning to things. So my journey in Turkey was amazing. When I came back, I took on a lot more roles. I went to Ethiopia. I did a project for about 2 months. I lived in Ethiopia for 2 months. Traveled for a couple of conferences in Egypt, in Uganda, Tanzania, Rwanda, you name it. I have done a couple of experiences with ISEC. And throughout this journey, I kept leaving a trail of what people would remember me for. And now that at the end of my experience, like I said, I became the president of ISEC in Daystar. And one of my strongest legacies then was to build an entity that would last for long. I came in at a point where the entity was about to die. And when I came back, my vision was to activate leadership in every young person in that university. And so that meant partnerships. It meant a lot of things. And I got on to work, and I brought on a board, an executive board that could help me bring this vision to life. And these people are my friends to date. And after my president experience, I sat in the board, which I still do now as an alumni representative. My ISEC experience got me an opportunity to work at the UN Women, which is in the UN complex. One of the people in our board was given a call, and they wanted someone to join a conference that was a regional conference for women in the extractives industry. And because of the kind of relationship I had with them, the mark I left with them when I was in ISEC, when I was a leader, when I was a president, they didn't hesitate to refer me. And that referral got me that opportunity to work at the UN complex for about 3 months. That experience also was life-changing for me. Like I said, I built on every single experience as I went along. After I was done with that experience, and I was looking for an internship opportunity, I remember the person who hired me for my internship was an ISECer, was a former ISECer. And my interview was fully based on my ISEC experience. I promise you guys, I kid you not, I did not answer any questions about that company. They asked me about my leadership journey. They asked me about my volunteer experience. They asked me about the cross-cultural experience I had when I went on exchange. They asked me about the team experience that I had, leading a team and being a team member. And the interview was threefold. So in those 3 processes, there was only one that I did a session about the company and the kind of skills that I bring on board. But the other 2 interviews were basically about my experience. And it was exciting because I had taken very keen note of what journey I had wanted in my ISEC experience. And so it was very easy for me to gel. And I must say, I got that experience. I got the job. That was my very first job, interning for SOMA, which was Social Media Awards then. When I left SOMA Awards, I worked at Nairobi Garage. Nairobi Garage is a co-working space, but my role predominantly brought together entrepreneurs. So I was somewhat a community builder. And in that space, I did not know what kind of experience this would help me gain now. But then I interacted with a lot of entrepreneurs. So I was very in touch with the entrepreneur ecosystem in Kenya and in East Africa. So I organized a lot of events, a lot of hackathons. I interacted with a lot of leaders in the entrepreneur space in East Africa. But in my mind, I knew that what I needed to do, what I wanted to do was PR and communications. Events was a pretty small bit in this journey. And what I've always said at the back of my mind is my foot in the door will be my social capital. Who I know and what I do for them will be my foot in the door, will be how I get my foot in the door. And for me, it has always been volunteering, offering my value for something in return. So at Nairobi Garage, I did that. I did a lot more that was beyond my KPIs, beyond my roles, just to expand my experience in PR and communication so that I can get more opportunities. While at Nairobi Garage, I got an opportunity to moderate an event dubbed Leadership Forum, organized by ISEC actually, and it was at USIU. At this conference that convened a couple of universities actually, one of the panelists was a gentleman called Waithaka Gatumia. While I was backstage, just networking with the panel and briefing them about what the conference is about, what the panel discussion would be about, I got to have an interesting chat with Waithaka Gatumia. And that was, I think, about a year before I decided to take up Centonomy, one of the courses that are offered here at Centonomy. Quite a coincidence, actually. So I decided to take up the course, then not quite remembering that Waithaka was, part of the Centonomy team. Then he wasn't the CEO, but he was part of the team. And I did the course, the program. And after 12 weeks, I think there was a period there was a gap of about 4 or 5 months. I saw an opportunity arise that was advertised for the Centonomy PR manager role, and I applied for it. And I work at Centonomy now, so I got the opportunity. But a couple of months down the road, I was having a conversation with the CEO, the current CEO, Waithaka Gatumia, and I was like, God. And he reminded me about that day when we had, I don't know if someone hasn't muted their mic. He reminded me about that day that we had a conversation backstage at the leadership conference, and the mark I left with him. I had not imagined it. I could not remember, but there's something that stood out about me. Joined Centonomy in 2019. Like Jerome says, I am not afraid to say that my brand is represented by my values, and my values were carefully crafted through my ISEC journey. I enjoy participation. I am always alive, and I show up every time I come to work. I do my best in each and everything I do. I remember my first few months in my role, I used to be the first person in this office, and I used to leave the last, literally. So that's fast. I enjoy participation. 2, I really demonstrate integrity in each and everything I do. Integrity for me is a very important value, because along our journey as leaders, we've seen a lot of leaders fail because they lack integrity as a value. So integrity for me is key. And that has been something that has stuck with me, and it's one of my values as well. I strive for excellence. If you can ask anyone from the Centonomy team, they'll tell you I will do everything par excellence. I will do my presentations par excellence. I will show up to the office par excellence. I will pretty much show up par excellence. I will not leave anything to doubt. I will not do anything mediocre. I'd rather not do it if I'm not doing it by excellence. And those things are driven by the values that I picked up during my ISEC journey. So that was about how many months in? I joined in 2019, about a year and about 6 months in, I got promoted to the head of PR and communication role at Centonomy, and I now sit in management or in the leadership team. And it's been the journey that I have been crafting very intentionally, being very intentional about being heard and being seen. In meetings, I do not keep quiet. I say what I think, I contribute, I participate. I do not sit at the back. I do not wait for someone to call out my name. When I see an opportunity, I grab it. I show up and say, this is a solution we can provide to this problem. And I become the center of it. I steer the direction of that particular problem. The solution of that particular problem. And I remain known. So my strategy has always remained top of mind. Have an objective, create your strategy, and have a tactic around it. You cannot just move through life with a mindset that you will be noticed, that my work will speak for itself. No, you need to write down the things that you need to be known for, or you want to be known for, or the things that you do pretty well that you think would put you above the rest when it comes to your job or your experience. Write them down and become very intentional about them. What is the objective for it? What do you want it to earn you? How are you going to go about it? That's a strategy. I'm going to do as many events as possible to get the eye and the ear of the government, the eye and the ear of my CEO. I will sit in so many meetings to understand how these things work so that I am able to be part of these particular committees when they are brought up. And the tactic is show up and take action. Participate. You need to be there. You can't be the one who's missing in every opportunity that comes up or arises. Like this conference, you can't be the one that's not in the room. You need to be visible. People need to see you. They need to hear you. So for everything that you do, I hope I've answered that question in a long way. Those are the things that you need to do in your personal journey. So think about it. Think about your journey in a way that these are the things I need to achieve, and start working backwards. My objective, this is my strategy around it, and finally, this is what I'm going to do to take action. And we usually say campus, we're too young to start. I'd say no, it's the best place to start. I started carving my journey in campus, and let me tell you, some of the things I'm most proud of is my campus experience. I talk about my ISEC experience very proudly because it's part of my legacy. I am very, 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 very proud to be associated with ISEC, and more so ISEC in Daystar. I did my best when I was in campus. I met amazing people there. President roles tend to put you in nice places. I must say, I'm not bragging, I'm just saying, put yourself in a place where people can talk about you, or people will talk about you when you're not there. So people will have a meeting about you, but you're not even in the room. So you need to position yourself in a way that that is able to happen for you, and it continues to give you a step ahead, or continues to put you in a place where you're more competitive against the rest of your peers. So that is my long answer to that short question. Let me see. There are a couple of, Tiamas, I can see Tiamas in the room. Thank you so much for that. What's the best way to grow your brand when you are in a place that is hard to differentiate yourself? For example, a large organization or a field with many people selling the same thing. That's an interesting question. I put it this way. There are industries that have a lot of players, but we still pick out a particular product or company. And that is usually based on a unique aspect. So I'd say it's not hard to differentiate yourself. It could be just an added thing to the service that you offer, or an added thing to the product that you offer. You have to differentiate yourself. That is what makes you stand out. what makes your brand more superior to another is something that is different, you know, from the other brand. So you can't conform. You can't be complacent with being the same, looking the same. You have to be very keen on looking at what aspects can allow me to differentiate or to create something that is above the rest, to create an edge above the rest. So they say Tessie comes with a, you know, with a sauce on the side. You know what I'm talking about? Yeah, you'll know what I'm talking about. So you need to be able to put that on the side. It could be, for example, let me talk about Centonomy. Centonomy prides itself in expert trainers. So we could have so many financial training, financial literacy training institutions, but we know Centonomy has expert trainers that take our programs. And we have seen that and had that through feedback of our, you know, participants and our clients over the years. So it could be one thing that you decide to focus on, and you begin honing it very early because you know this is my edge. And over time, you increase that. So you can't have that one edge and you decide this is the only thing that I'm going to, you know, keep very close to my heart and leave this as my differentiator. You have to always innovate. Look at ways in which you make yourself better. When people come and they're all doing Instagram reels in a particular way, you come up with a different way of doing it. If people are doing events in a particular way, you come up with an interesting, different way to do events virtually, probably introducing new aspects to it and new features to it. So you need to stay ahead of the game. Safaricom has done that very well over time. And that's why even if Airtel, even if, what's the other brand? I'm forgetting them. Come with amazing, amazing offers. We all complain. We'll go back and say, Safaricom inakula credit yangu, it's expensive, they're stealing from me, but you're still a very loyal customer. You'll still remain there because there's something about them that keeps you on their brand, right? So I hope I've answered that. Thrive Kenya. I don't know who Thrive Kenya is. Kumbe kuna backstage conversation. Yes, I must say things that happen without you knowing. And so you need to be at your best all the time. Strive for excellence in each and everything you do, because you do not know who's watching and how that would relate to your plan in future. And like I said, objective, strategy, tactic, you need to always have a plan. If you don't have a plan, it's very easy for you to lose focus. If you have a plan, it's very easy for you to know where there's opportunity. So if you meet Tessie in the next 2 weeks, and there's something you know Tessie would be very helpful, would be very instrumental in getting for you, you quickly reach out to her. And because your plan is clear, she can plug in very clearly or very quickly into what you want to achieve. But without a plan, imagine you'll meet everyone who would be able to assist you or grow you, but they become just another person in your journey because you are not clear about what you need to achieve. So I'd say that's a very important thing for you to take note of. There's a question by Raymond up there just after the first one. Let me just find it. At what point, if any, can a personal brand be reclaimed from negative stereotypes, particularly with imagery? Okay, if I get Raymond's question correctly, it's sometimes your brand could be tarnished or something could happen that leaves a bad reputation on your brand over time. Personal branding is a journey. It's not a one-day thing, it's a process. Like now, the way I've talked about how my journey stemmed through my campus experience till my experience right now. It's a journey. And so it would take intentional steps for you to rebuild that brand. If anything like that happens, think about companies who hire PR practitioners like me to manage their, the reputational risk, for example. It is managed over time. And sometimes us as PROs say, you build a brand for 12 years and in 5 minutes, something on Twitter will break down that brand and building it will take another 12 years. So it takes time. It's a process. So that's the first thing you need to note, that it's a process, but it can be reclaimed if you particularly become consistent about the narrative that you want to share. So you can come back to the scene and begin sharing what you'd want people to know. Remember, you feed the information you feed people, how they choose to interact with you, the 5 senses, how they see you, how they hear you, how they taste you. Okay, in terms of products, the product they taste is important because that's what leaves a lasting effect on them. So you go back to the drawing board and do those things all over again through that process, and do them very intentionally. So how am I putting myself out there in a way that people can see me, in a way that people can hear me in positive light, so that you go back to reclaim whatever it is that has happened. We've seen a lot of this happen to companies, to individuals, scandals, and people actually survive and come out from them because they build a strategy around it, and they remain consistent in how they put out messaging around their rebuilding their brand, really. Yeah, I hope I've answered that question. Raymond, you can let me know if you have any follow-up questions, feel free to shoot. So I'll move on to the last bit of our presentation today. There are 4 rules, not 4, actually 6, like I had mentioned before, around your brand. 1, be real. I know that people who say fake it till you make it. I actually do not subscribe to that kind of speak. You need to be real. You need to keep it 100. People do not like people who are who lie or do not come through with what they promise, right? We always tend to dislike such people. Like the image on the right, ain't nobody got time for fake people. We just don't have time for fake people. In this life, we want authentic and we want real people. So rule number 1, be real. Come to the table as Tessie. These are the gifts I have. These are the talents I have. These are the skills I have. This is what I can do for you. This is what makes me unique. These are my strengths. This is how I show up. This is how I can change your life or your company. Be real about who you are and what you bring to the table. Do not lie. Keep it 100. Yeah. Rule number 2. Before I go to rule number 2, remember, even as people say, fake it till you make it. This is always true, right? Everything communicates. How you look will communicate something. So don't tell me being real is being shabby, like coming to the office with sweatpants, and that's my authentic self. Someone will say, I'm comfortable. That's what I'm comfortable in. And that's me being my real authentic self. No, remember everything communicates, from how you look, how you speak, the things you do, where you are, the kind of people you talk to and interact with. Everything communicates. For example, if I was to tell you your dinner today will come from one of the 2 fields, which one would you pick? The left one or the right one? Picture number 1 or picture number 2? 1 is on the left, 2 is on the right. So if I told you your dinner is going to be picked off this shamba today, where do you think that dinner is going to come from? Is it the land on the left or the one on the right? Yes. Jerome says left, please, because you can see that it's been well tilled. Someone is taking care of it. There's a lot of thought through it. It looks good. So everything communicates. And so how you look, how you speak, how you act, everything you do communicates. It sends a signal to someone who's watching you. And more importantly, if it's someone in your target audience, you need to send the right signal. They need to be able to understand what signal you're sending, and that signal needs to mean business. You can't just send a signal of I don't care, I show up late, I am, some of the negative things that would make you look bad as a brand. Rule number 2, be clear on your target market. And I think I've talked about this. You need to research and identify who the target based on your who your target audience is, based on your environment and level of ability and comfort. Who should be listening to you? Not everyone is for you, right? Even when I told you to do that assessment, and the actual images, go out and ask people what they actually think about you. You'll hear a lot more people. There's a lot of naysayers out here. The people will tell you, Jerome is snobbish, by the way, very snobbish. Take all this information. This is data that you will use to actually sit down and understand who is my target audience and who is not? Who am I feeding this information? Is your target audience the corporate HR who is hiring? If you're in campus, is my target audience my lecturers? Is my target audience partners like Centonomy or companies that come on board for conferences like this? Who is your target audience? As a person, you need to be very clear who is watching you, and you need to be able to give them what they need in regards to your brand for you to be able to continue interacting. And that's what the lower point says. Tailor your personal brand and message to these people so that it pleases them. It is in line with what they want to hear. It is in line with what they're looking for. So they're easy to pick you out. If you're seated out in a crowd, they say Tessie because she's aligned to, our brand as well. And I can say by all means, I am particularly that target audience because the information that she shares is for me. I consume it, I love it, and I would love to engage with her. So get inside people's heads, get inside the head of your ideal customer and understand this person needs to think you, eat you, drink, sleep, because you have done an amazing job at placing, what you do in there in a way that keeps you top of their mind. Yeah. Rule number 3, be visible and stand out. Like I said, if I do not know you, if I do not know what you do, if I do not see you, you do not exist. It's as simple as that. Don't keep quiet and expect me to come out and look for your accolades and your amazing things that you've done, to come and see, oh, wow, I go to the registrar of JQuat and ask, do you know a gentleman called Jerome? I'd wanted to see all these amazing things that he's done. Nobody has time for that. No employer will come to university, to your parents, to your mom and ask her, please show me the record of how amazing Tessie has been in this house since you bore her. Nobody will do that. You need to be front and center in making your brand be heard and be seen. So be visible and stand out. When people see your name or face consistently, they assume you must be more successful and therefore better than those they never see. So someone might have more accolades, might have more certificates, might be more, might be an expert even, at a particular field. But because they see Jerome more and he's constantly on people's minds speaking about the same thing, they tend to see Jerome as more successful as that person who's just an expert and sitting down hoping these opportunities will find me where I am and my work will speak for itself. Use social media wisely, speak up in meetings, expand your opportunities. We have this tool called social media, and a lot of us might not know the impact that it has in terms of building our brand. That's a conversation for a whole conversation for another day on how you can use social media to leverage your personal brand. You need to be able to repeat your message so many times in a way that people look at you as an industry leader. They understand that you're passionate about this thing so much, and they're able to look at you as someone who's an authority in that space. So I know we like to share what we eat for lunch on social media, but it can't be every day. I know I love coffee, particularly I love coffee so much, and I share about my love for coffee on my social media platforms. But more often, you will see me sharing about the things I love doing in my comms and my PR job, in my entrepreneurship community, the female founders community that I have been leading for the past 3 years. So use social media wisely to speak about the things that you do so that people can see you. Remember, you need to be visible and to stand out. So you position yourself in a way that people are able to understand Tessie is doing this, and this is her passion, and you're able to stand out in that way, and they're able to reach you and connect with you because you either share interest in that area, or they're able to partner with you because it's visible, they know, right? Then finally, remain top of mind. We're in an era where things move so fast. You can be forgotten so quickly. So for you to remain top of mind, social media is your friend, and use it wisely. Use it in a way that helps you easily hireable. So when you're there, people can actually see Tessie. If I hire Tessie, she's good at what she does. I followed her account. She shares the right things. I can tell her passions from what she does. So I'm not saying you go and share your work fully on your Instagram. No, you can bounce it off your Instagram a couple of times. share it on your LinkedIn a lot more, but through your Instagram, I should be able to tell who you are, the kind of person you are, the kind of things you love, and that should be able to bring me closer to you and to want to interact with you. Number 4 is ability counts. What you say, you need to be able to do. I always tell my team, you need to have a high say-do ratio. Once you get the decision in your favor, or you get hired, or you get promoted, your ability to perform or do your job, provide value, which is more important, helps you to keep it and turn it into referrals or growing and grows your brand. So once you get there, there's no slowing down, there's no stopping. You need to create momentum where you're able to now do what you promise. Like we said, a brand is a promise. So you keep repeating and doing the things that you have promised to do in an excellent way, in a way that now Jerome can go on and say, I know Tessie, you can work with her in this way. So people can easily refer you because you have said, you have done what you said, right? You have a high say-do ratio. You do not say one thing and come show up, do another thing, or say one thing and totally not do it. So you need to have a high say-do ratio. Keep that momentum by doing exactly what you say. Once you get your foot in the door, there's a lot more work in there to maintain that brand. So you keep working at it, keep providing value, keep investing in yourself in a way that showcases you as an expert in your space. Rule number 5, delight your target market. Once you've understood who your target market is and you understand what they want, give it to them, and give it to them at 100. Come on full throttle. Do not leave anything behind. I don't like people who have to show people things. I just want to do the bare minimum, the littlest. There's a word like that. You do not want to go above and beyond. Once you identify your target market, go over and above. Do your best. Wow them, like that image has said. Most of people over-promise and under-deliver. Would say do the opposite. Under-promise and over-deliver. Go above and beyond expectations every single time so that people know that you're good at what you do and they can refer you and you remain top of mind, like we've said. Sorry. Last and not least is be consistent. Now, this is the hardest part, guys, because we will always find ourselves in spaces where we feel stuck, we feel demotivated, or motivation is lost, or we feel like we're losing direction sometimes in different scenes or, spaces in our lives. But being consistent is very important because, let me use the analogy of Instagram, because I'm a digital marketer. Instagram actually punishes you for not being consistent. If you post today as a business, for example, and you get 100 likes and say 30 comments as engagement, right? And you come back a month later and you left people hanging for a month. There was no content shared, you were mute, no one knows if you exist anymore, and you come back a month later and post this amazing content. You might realize that the visibility is reduced. They share it to a lot less people because you are not consistent in what you are doing in terms of sharing content. So I'd say in your life, make it the same. Once you've established your brand, everything you do will either confirm or contradict your promise. And we said it's a promise, right? Make sure you stay consistent every single day. If I promise to do excellence on day 1, if I promise to run, come up with an event like ThriveCon and run it very exceptionally, impact people in that industry, bring in expert trainers, bring in mentors, bring in partners. And I continue to do this with other events going forward. And I continue to register results and I'm consistent in each and everything that I do. People are going to relate you to that kind of success. They're going to say, Jerome is a successful person, or Jerome is a consistent person, and so I'd want to work with him, sorry. Finally, it takes time. Like I said, it's a process. You cannot build a brand overnight. Personal branding takes time. So always do what you say and ensure the two match 90% of the time. I think I've mentioned this in the previous slide. 90% of the time, you need to be able to be to do what you say. So you show up like you had promised. And like I always say, have a high say-do ratio. At this point, I'd like to share something that I share with a couple of my friends, and I'm not saying that people should use it on their own, but it's something that I like to do and has worked for me for the period of time that I've been here, right? So when you think about your goals, I know maybe some of you are not working yet, you're in campus, but when you think about your goals, I like to put them out as if a couple of us have done 844, and I believe a good number of us have done 844. Remember how in primary school or in high school, before you do your KCP or KCST, usually you'd write down your countdown days on the blackboard or on the whiteboard, depending on how bushy you guys, which schools you went to. Ours was a blackboard. So at the top right, you'd have 1,000 days. Then they'd go reducing, and someone would be there every day to reduce those days. 999, 600, 500, 99 days, 10 days, 2 days, 1 day. That countdown normally made us more cautious about what we need to do to prepare for what was ahead of us. And in that case, it was exams. I like to plan my career in that way. I call mine 1,000 days of impact. I usually write down my 1,000 days of impact in a particular company. And for me, it's a marathon, right? It's not a sprint. I don't need to do everything every day, but it paces me every single time to look at those days becoming shorter, reducing, and to know that every single day I need to make some sort of impact to contribute to my 1,000 days of impact. So as I see the days reducing, I know I can't slow down. I know I can't drop the ball. I know I need to be stronger and to finish strong. So I need to pick up my pace. I need to be keen about the things I need to do. So I will not, there's no point in my lifetime that I will show up at work late, that I will show up for meetings late. I will always show up and do as per excellence because it's something that is guiding me, my 1,000 days of impact. So every single day when I cross off one day, I'm always asking myself, what did I do today to leave an impact at my workplace as my days are reducing, right? So I'm not saying when it's 1,000 days, I'm going to be like, guys, I'm out the door, bye, see you. It's nice, it's been nice knowing you. No, but it's a guiding principle for me. And if by then a good opportunity would come your way, you take it on because you've learned what you need to learn. And because you planned it out, you have grown in whatever spheres that you needed to grow. And you can easily move to the next level because you're prepared. So I'd say that's one of the things that has guided me throughout this period. Even as I build my brand, I am very intentional about what I need to do, what steps I need to make. And I'm also very open along the way to change up, to reorganize based on the experiences that I have and the people I meet. So that has been it for me. Allow me to share a bit about the Campus Edition program that is offered at Centonomy and would be an amazing program for you. What the Centonomy Campus Edition is about is it will help you budget and plan your expenditure like a pro. So we talk about finances, but sometimes for campus students, we usually say, sina pesa, we'll start later. A lot of people in our classes now, and I'll tell you for free, who are older, wish they started when they were young, wish they started budgeting when they were young, wish they started saving and investing when they were young. So this is the best time for you to start. The second thing is you'll start setting your financial goals very more effectively. We usually say, watu wa kununua shamba is people who are working, right? But you've seen a lot more successful people start out when they were in campus. I think JB of the 254 brand actually started his branding business in campus. So your financial goals could actually start making more sense if you start thinking about them now. What kind of investments do you want to take as you go? What kind of assets do you want to build over time? Start thinking about those things now. You'll begin saving and investing and aligning your investment options to your goals. A lot of us say, I want to drive a Mercedes Benz. What does it take to drive a Mercedes Benz? What does it take to even fuel it? What does it take to service it? When you calculate backwards and realize how much money you need to be earning then to sustain the lifestyle of driving a Mercedes Benz, then you're going to step up. You're going to have to do multiple things, come up with multiple sources of income for you to be able to achieve the kind of dreams that you want to achieve. We'll help you launch and grow your business significantly through the module that is entrepreneurship. And we'll help you identify opportunities for career growth while you're still in school. How do you start charting your career path early in a way that sets you up for success, so that you don't end up doing things that waste your time, or you don't end up doing things without intentionality and not understanding that this contributes to the next thing that you need to do. And you grow your network because you're going to be amongst other purposeful young people who are willing to grow. Some of the perks of the program you'll have financial life skills and knowledge that will help you begin your journey to financial freedom from an early age. Number 2 is you will get to enjoy practical lessons with experts and interactive live sessions. So the amazing thing about our programs now is that they are run virtually. And so you can take them from anywhere, practically anywhere. You know, if you're in a different country, you can take our classes. If you are in your pajamas at home on Saturday, you can take our classes. You don't have to come physically to our premises. Then you get notes and reference material that you will use even beyond the program. So tools that you can use to manage your finances better. And you also enjoy a mentorship session that we organize where we bring in actual, individuals who have built successful businesses or career journeys that can help you begin to understand what you need to do as you chart that path. Then you get a certificate at the end of the program, and you also have an opportunity to take part in our ambassador program, which gives them a lot of opportunities to interact with people who are, guys that they would not necessarily meet on a day-to-day. Yeah. So I've talked about the Campus Edition program. It's a 6-week program, and the modules that you would learn are principles of personal finance management, time value of money, so that you understand the money you're saving now will not be in the same value 10 years to come. And so investments are important. So savings and investments is another module. You have entrepreneurship for those who want to build businesses, for career planning, for those who just want to understand, this is what I'm studying. How do I begin to make intentional decisions so that I can have a successful career? And mentorship, like I've said, is we bring actual people who have gone through the path and have success stories that they can, share on with you guys. Then we'll have our online classes starting on 9th October. And if you'd want to be part of our program, kindly email esther@centonomy.com or the number that is on screen. I will leave it there after I am done just explaining more about the program. We have the program once a week on Saturdays for about 2.5 hours. And like I said, this is an experience that you can take from anywhere, literally from your living room, from your bed. I know a lot of people take our programs from their bed in their pajamas, but they're learning. It's an investment that they're making. If you're in a different country, this is an opportunity that you should not miss out on. And like I said, our classes are starting on 9th October. So when it comes to investment, how much money do you need to put in? We have had a discount running through this lockdown period, the pandemic period, that is 10% off. And so the fee now is 15,300. And how you get part of the program is you can register today at 500 bob, and we can get to you with more information about the program. So we've given you a discount today. Instead of registering at 1,000 bob, you can register at 500 bob today. And the 15,300 is payable in installments. So you don't have to pay it all at once. Reach out to your parents if this is an investment that you'd want to make. And we'll be able to get in touch with you if you're interested in the program. That would be all from me, guys. I said, sorry, I was the one who was coming in between you and your dinner, and I am done now. Thank you so much for staying on this long, Jerome. Thank you, thank you, thank you. If you have any questions, please feel free to throw them on the chat, and I'll quickly respond to them before I say ciao. Thank you, Jerome. Over to you.
Thanks, Anna. This has been amazing. I was writing down the points in the last six things you said, and I just let people know a very good example of personal branding that you can look at right now is Abe Mutua or Mkurugenzi. Just literally, you say Mkurugenzi and you think Abe Mutua, and what started as just during lockdown, a video that he did. I mean, like number one, he was real. He just said talking about his experiences, and he got clear on his target market. I mean, there's some age group, a certain age group, and I think we fall in that age group that really like to enjoy his content. And then he was visible and he stood out. And not just, I mean, he'd say Mkurugenzi and automatically you understand what he's talking about. And ability counts. This guy is a very good, he's probably the best storyteller Kenya has at the moment. And he moved that ability not just from in front of screen to in front of an audience, a live audience. Delight your target market, of course. Abel Muto has the ability to make us happy and bring his A game every single time. And the last thing is being so consistent. He's gone from strength to strength. And if you look at right now, he's probably at 140 videos or so because of consistently posting. When he asks, we post. When we ask, he posts. So just try to use him as a I just shamelessly plugged him, but yeah, use him as a standard. And yes, Asante Sana from Hina, our VP of TM at Isaac and Jake. Thank you so much for this space. Just mind blown. Lewis has said he has noted a lot of important information. Brian Kariuki, that was a phenomenal space. Asante Sana. I personally think that was fantastic. I'm still writing down notes right now, and especially the 1,000 days of impact. I know I have 2 years to go in school, and if I do that, even if it's 100 days of impact, it's a countdown for that really puts to bear and brings yourself to book for that kind of stuff. Sawag, thank you for a great session, Ms. Tessie. Thank you for attending. Mike and Juliet from Centonomy as well. So yeah, I think at this point we can say good evening. It's been long, it's 8:50. You also need to eat. So we can let you leave and people can leave at their pleasure. Asante Sana for coming through. We know you came from another Instagram live just before you came. So thanks for making time.
Thank you as well. I think, let me also say, you've been an amazing, amazing audience. Thank you, Jerome, for organizing this. All the best. Great job, guys. You are doing an amazing job so far. Keep at it. Like you said, be consistent and you will reap the fruits of your hard work. So I hope to meet all of you sometime. If you meet me, please stop me and say hi. I will appreciate it. Enjoy the rest of your night and bye for now.
Bye-bye. Bye, guys. We have our next session on Thursday. If you come through, we'll stream this on YouTube so you can catch up to whatever you missed, or if you want to hear something again. But for now, it's goodbye and good night from me. Bye-bye.
kaja kanyoni kaja gego waja na medeko da koria tere nyame shore wati dako dati dakairi yaraganya beregete nadi naino kiaba kanyoni kaja gego waja na medeko da koria tere nyame shore wati dako dati dakairi yaraganya beregete nadi naino kiabareki